first off, we're going to get to the exciting stuff later, and I'm going to start with bad news. Bill here. We've got big layoffs are apparently coming for Microsoft. I saw this over on Twitter. Asha tweeted out, "We just shared with our team the realities we need to navigate as we work to reset the Xbox business. We won't succeed by hiding hard truths, nor will we succeed by doing the same thing and expecting different results." And then Tom Warren said, "Xbox warns of reset as it prepares for layoffs. Sources tell me there are major Xbox layoffs coming next month, and the cuts may even involve studio closure." And then they drop a little more details over on their website. So let's talk about this idea of an Xbox reset. Jimmy, when you hear the words Xbox reset, what does that mean to you?
It means doubling down on franchises that work, and that the era of creative freedom that we've kind of seen all these companies sort of in is pretty much over. So, like, in my opinion, games like Keeper and the pot game, I forget what it's called, Kiln.
Yeah,
that's done. Stuff like Halo, though, they're gonna have to do a lot of work at Halo Studios if these rumors about it being mostly freelancers and, like, you know, no one at the studio actually making games. Like, they've got their work cut out for them there, but they're going to double down on Halo. They're going to say, okay, Bethesda, no more taking 12 years to make games. If you can't make a new Fallout, we're going to give it to id, for example, or someone, and just get this roster of franchises that they have under their belt that are just kind of sitting there out the door, like Forza, Gears, Halo, Doom, Fallout, Elder Scrolls, and just keep those coming at a steady clip, because yeah, the output has been terrible since like 2020, and
that's when they announced we bought all these companies.
Yeah. So like, it's not good that they have to lay off a bunch of people, but like that's what happens when, you know, you don't sell games. And a lot of the ideas have been cool, but like I just don't think these small, tiny, like, passion projects belong at a multi-billion-dollar company like Xbox. And it's hard to see this going any other way when, you know, these games were never going to sell 10 million copies, and they're kind of seemingly expecting them to.
You think that they're going to sell off Double Fine or close Double Fine?
I hope they give them the option to buy themselves out or find a buyer, but
yeah, me too.
If I looked at it, it's like them. They're the, like, easy answer to point to. Ninja Theory, people are like pretty positive Ninja Theory's done, but Ninja Theory's more of like a technical showcase for them, like graphically speaking and like performance wise, and they handle a lot of mocap, so maybe they'd be safe. Turn 10, I think they're just done because they don't even have any. They're a tiny studio now. They're like a support studio for Playground Games that I'm sure was helpful in the lead up to Forza Horizon 6, but like, you know, you could go to Playground and be like, could you get by without them? The answer is probably yes, because Playground's like effectively the stewards of Forza now. So like a lot of these smaller support studios, I think, are done. And other than that, I mean, our Obsidian, they're out the door on Avowed and Outer Worlds 2. I feel like they tell them, all right, Grounded team, keep doing what you're doing, keep working with Eidos Montreal. But this two-split team that we have doing Avowed and the Outer Worlds, you guys are rejoining, and you're going to work on New Vegas 2, or you're going to work on an IP, because the Outer Worlds is not working out. So, I mean, that's what I would do, personally, if I was running the show. I'd be like, let's look at the IP that people actually want to play and buy and spend money on, and figure out what studios we have that can work on them, and pass those out accordingly.
Matthew Ball says something, I don't know if this is in one of the show notes from later on, but he called himself a strategic optimist, right? And that sounds like corporate speak, but it resonates with me. When I think, so Jimmy, you mentioned like passion projects and that not being the future for Microsoft. And there's a lot of me that agrees with you, despite my, you know, I want shorter games.
Yeah.
Look, you know what I mean? Despite that, right? But
like, it was cool, but like,
I think there's a future for that, right? But I think that it has to be on guardrails. It has to be on rails, right? You have to put what is the budget, right? And it does not exceed that budget, because the point is it's experimental and we don't know. But like, what we've seen is not quite that. And what I was going to get to too was I think a lot about the early days of like Platinum, where they are just an absolute creative engine, right? Like they just love batshit off the wall stuff. But they too had an obligation to bring in the money. You know what I mean? Like they took on these licensed projects, whether it was Transformers, I mentioned TMNT last week. They took on these licensed projects that were like guaranteed income, and that enabled them to be the creative force that they were.
That's a great point.
And even then, it wasn't easy, right? And so like, I think there's a future for them to pursue passion projects, but not without the bread and butter. They need to establish that bread and butter. And I'm the first person that is going to go to bat for not just consumers, but developers. And so like, my heart goes out to the people that are being laid off. But the next story is about the 3% margin that Asha says they have. And you know, when we talked about it in a group chat, I saw that number and just like my gut instinct is like, that is an abysmal number. And to be honest, I didn't have any frame of reference. So I had to look it up and see what a frame of reference was. According to what I found, I think Nintendo is currently around 19%. Sony is currently around 30 to 40. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I just want to make sure that people understand what is this percent that you're talking about. So you want to explain that real quick and then go back to your numbers?
Yes. So I'll read the quote, in fact, and she says, Asha and Matt say, we will end this fiscal year at about a 3% accountability margin, down year over year. She goes on to say, excluding Activision Blizzard King, over the past 5 years, we have spent over $20 billion on ongoing investments in our content platform and hardware subsidy, but our annual revenue has declined nearly $500 million during that time. Going forward, this cannot continue. So all of those numbers already sound bad, but when I looked up what the margin looks like for gaming companies and for tech companies, because Xbox is a gaming company, but Microsoft is a tech company. The picture that I got is 15 to 25% is a solid year. Anything above that is a really good year. Single digits is we're clearly investing at the best, right? Take-Two, I think, has negative margin up until GTA 6, right? Like the whole point is that they're pumping in a lot of money into GTA 6 with the expectation that it's going to flip that number around. I don't see that on the horizon for Xbox. I don't see that they're pumping money into one specific thing that's going to turn that ship around. And so like, given that, I do understand that you have to either, but probably both, cut costs and get more money somehow, right? So that's the mission that Xbox is on. My big contention, I think, is that the layoffs themselves are not the problem, they're the symptom. The problem is overhiring, overinvesting in the wrong places. To Jimmy's point, like, I don't know how much money they threw at Kiln, but they couldn't have gotten what they wanted out of that. And so that overinvestment and overhiring leads to just, when times get lean, we don't have the room for you. So now we have to lay you off. So I think that's the thing that they have to work on.